things. I'll pass this out. But, you know, some of the laws for $50,
Oh.
$75. Huh? Rob, you should have invested more, huh? Right. And when you own a lot in Manhattan Beach, back in those days, here's a bill from the city of Manhattan Beach, November 1948. This is Lot 2, Block 13, and that was the 800 block of Dianthus. This is for cleanup. Labor $11.61, expense $1.85. So they had to pay a yearly fee, $13.46 for the city to clean up the lot. I have all these. I just brought one today, but I have all of the relating to these lots. It's amazing the memorabilia you can collect over the years. In my notes, I revised these notes so many times, thinking about, oh my gosh, what a fabulous life. So, I mean, really, growing up at the beach, you know, surfing and all that stuff. Oh, geez, and yo-yos and whatever. And so, we lived at 2901 Crest during the war, and then right after the war, my dad built a house at 27th and Vista, and our neighbors were Clark and Betty Mowry. They lived there in the corner, and just had a lot of fun. I went from Center Street to American Martyrs when American Martyrs opened. I went 7th and 8th grade to American Martyrs, and I was in the first graduation class. And a classmate of mine and I, we'd go down to the Lamar, Mr. Burgoyne, he was the manager, and we'd go in there and need any work done. We'd do this once a week. He said, yeah, can you do a little painting, change something on the marquee or something? So we worked, and I worked for a pass, so that was 50 cents. So I didn't go to, I went to the show every week, but I never paid for it because I always had passes, and that was fun. So, my dad in the ready mix and the trucking, about the same time, went back to Milwaukee and bought a new Sterling truck. You know, in the ready mix business, you need to keep up with the time. So this is a Sterling, brand new Sterling. Got it in Milwaukee, and here I am with my dad. That's about 1950, and you know, I grew up in the trucking business, loved it, and so graduated first graduation class from American Warriors, went to Sarah High in Gardena, and that was a lot of fun. Got my first car, it cost me $45, got a 31 Chevy. I drove my car. You know, when I was a sophomore, I had somebody drive me when I was a freshman. So had my car, and then, oh my gosh, remember Clancy's All-American on Marine, you know, go for that 14-cent hamburger. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And then right up the road was Pin and Quill. Remember the Pin and Quill?
Yes.
I don't know why I have all this stuff. This is a menu from the Pin and Quill. I'm going to pass this around. Other side. There you go. This is a menu from the Pin and Quill. This is probably late 40s, early 50s, and just a little example. Hamburger, $2. You know, salad, but
Glass of Chablis.
glass of Chablis, 50 cents. Here's the one, lobster for two, $33. So I mean, that's, here, I'll give that to you, Betty. This is so amazing. You go over those prices, you're going, oh my God. Oh, so much fun. I worked at there was a Foster Freeze where the mortuary is now. I worked at that Foster Freeze before I went in the Air Force. After I graduated from Sarah, I went in the Air Force, went to Lackland and to drafting school, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. I became a draftsman. And so in the Air Force, you know, you're lucky enough to get a foreign tour. And in my case, I had 2 foreign tours. My first one was in northern Honshu in Japan. I went to a reconnaissance squadron, photo reconnaissance. So I became a photo interpreter, and that was very interesting. In those days, the Cold War, and we did a lot of missions, classified. And
It was.
and so my second foreign tour was South Carolina. Because being raised in California, you go to South Carolina in the 50s, you know, there's segregation. And I went to school, I palled around with a black guy from Sarah. We were real good friends. But you go to the South in the 50s, and it's just an eye-opener. Here I'm young, 22, getting my last year, and I went to dinner at a friend of mine's place, and he says, "Will you take Mrs. So-and-so home?" And so I said, "Sure," this elderly black woman. And I had a 55 Ford Coupe, and so I opened the door for her, and she gets in the back seat. I said, "You don't have to sit in the back seat. What? Come on, sit in the front seat with me." "Oh, no, sir. No, sir. I gotta sit in the back seat." And that was a rule there. And if she would have sat in the front seat, I'd probably been shot. So, anyway, that was a real eye opener. So got out of the service, and and my last year in the service, my mom calls me. My sister Phyllis is getting married. She said, "Phyllis is getting married soon." I said, "Well, who is it?" And she said, "Oh, it's a surfer from Malibu." She didn't know much about him, but they met at a party in Hermosa. Well, it turned out that she married Tube Steak. I don't know if you know in the Gidget movies, the Big Kahuna and all that. So, well, he was the Big Kahuna. So my sister married Terry Tube Steak Tracy in '58. They had 7 children. 2 died in 12, but they were married for 54 years.
Wow.
Great family, 7 kids, great kids. So anyway, I get out of the Air Force, and my parents had moved to PV, so I lived with them briefly, went to El Camino, and then they were moving to Las Vegas. So I got a place in Hermosa, one of the 3 places, and that was a great place for bachelors. I'm telling you, parties, oh my goodness. Lots of parties. Food deck, carousel, mermaid, Pier 52, Callahan's on Tuesday night for 25 cents spaghetti, and you could get a double for 50 cents, 2 meatballs. Oh, gee, and that was great. So the Roger, the bartender at the poop deck, he was having a party. This is early '62. And so we went to the party, and this place was just packed and everything, and here's the hallway and everything, and I'm in there, and geez, here's this tall, good-looking gal. Oh my gosh, look at this gal, taller than I, and I introduced myself. She said, "Well, I'm Yvonne." I said, "Where'd you go to school?" She said, "St. Anthony's." I said, "Really? I know some girls from St. Anthony's. We used to have girls come at Sarah from St. Anthony's." So I got her number. Oh my goodness. So next week was like Monday. This was Saturday. I called her Monday. I said, "You want to go out?" So she did. We went out, and just we had a real connection. So fell in love pretty fast. My parents had moved to Las Vegas, and work was really doing well. We did a lot of hotel expansions, and they were building the Castaways and the Dunes and the Tally Ho and the Landmark, all those places in the early '60s. So we got married, and we stayed up there and lived in Las Vegas. And I had 2 girls born there in '63 and '64. And the end of '64, things just came to a screeching halt. It just stopped. So moved back to California, lived with Yvonne's parents for a short time, and got a job with a trucking company in Torrance. things were going real well at the trucking company, making a decent living. So I called Rob, my buddy Rob, who I'd known for years. And he was in real estate with his dad, Al, there on Highland. I said, Rob, we want to move to Manhattan. Let's find a place. So we met up with Rob, and he drove us around and found a place in Bermuda Village. Now, Bermuda Village is Voorhees II, Meadows, and Ryle, that area just north of the Maricosta Fields. So we moved in there in '65, $25,100. And I had to get a letter from my employer that I would make 10 hours overtime, 10 hours overtime to qualify. I had a VA loan and everything, and I got the letter and I qualified, 162 a month. Boy, we could just eat that out. It was tough. And so that was good. And then the boys were born, Greg in '67 and Chris in '69. And when Chris was born, Little Company, it was a record day, and I'll explain that in a little while. So Chris was about 10, that was in '79, and my wife Yvonne, she wanted something to do, a little part-time job or something. So she went to Maricosta and got a part-time job there, and perfect 10 months, 4 hours a day, and it was good. Next year, they wanted her to go in the office, secretary to the vice principal, so she did that. The next year, principal wanted her for a secretary. So in '81, she became the principal secretary at Maricosta and was there for 20 years, principal secretary. And maybe some of you would remember her name, Yvonne French, and she was a real tall gal and principal secretary for 20 years. So, and then we both retired. I'd gone to work for Pep Boys in '85, and I was on the road for 35 years, and got off the road in '94. This is my last year on the road. My driving career was 35 years. I drove 2,400,000 miles. This is my last year of driving. Then I went into the office as a transportation manager my last 6 years at Pep Boys. In 2001, we both retired and just had a wonderful time. We take a cruise a year, road trips to Europe or the parts of the U.S. We did a lot of traveling, saw all the states. It was fabulous. And then in 2010, we moved from First to where we live now, where I live now. And then in 2011, we'd only lived in Don Johnson for about 7 months or something. And Yvonne was having some medical issues, and she had an emergency operation. It was hysterectomy. Yeah, and that was March of 11, and March 14th we found out she had uterine cancer, and then April 15th, 1 month later, she died. So it was real fast. So that was hard. And so with the blessing of my daughters at the end of 2011, I went on Catholic Singles. It's a website for singles. I mean, loneliness is killing me, and with their blessing, I went on Catholic Singles. And I met my lovely wife, Connie, and we fell in love. And February we'll be married 3 years. So
Wow,
nice. So anyway, that's my story. So I have two daughters. Lisa works at Aerospace. Stephanie works at Trader Joe's. She started at the Trader Joe's here in '82, and she's still with the company. Although she's only working part-time now. She became a manager down in the San Diego area for years, but she's actually working for a gal now that she hired 20 years ago. And then Greg, my son Greg, is in San Diego, and he works for a company that builds homes for people that have Alzheimer's. And he's a project manager for those folks. Chris, my youngest son, he works at the Trader Joe's on Hawthorne Boulevard. So it was about, what was it, a year ago, Chris? The nurses came in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about a year ago, the nurses came in from Little Company, and Chris is there checking, and he said, well, I was born at Little Company, and I set the birth weight record. And so the next day, the nurses come back, and one of the nurses that was in the delivery room the day Chris was born was there. So you're wondering what the birth weight record is. Well, he weighed 13 pounds, 6 ounces, and was 24 inches long. And needless to say, that was our last child. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm just loving retirement and my new wife, Connie, and we're just having a lot of fun. And, Rob?
You didn't tell them about the time you ran into the train.
That was we were young and foolish. I had my 31 Chevy, and Rob and Brian McCourt and I we were crossing Ardmore at Second there at first, and the train was coming along, so I was just inching up. I said, I wonder how close I can get to the train. So the train is going by, and here comes a caboose, and I just ticked the step there, and boom, and the conductor came out, and he's looking at us. And, we had a lot of fun. Jumping off the pier, and swimming out and around. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I'm wondering why I'm alive. Some of the stunts, we used to drive down Marine, and try to make the car fly. When you go across the railroad tracks there by where you turn in for Costco now, that used to be a low grade, and then the railroad crossing was up. So if you got your car going fast enough, you could make it fly. So and we did that. I mean, no seat belts, just. But I thank God I was still alive.
Jumping off the pier, rumors are that you could see the old pilings of the old iron pier.
Yeah, you could do that.
In the old days.
Pier, as we know, is where it ends now was not where it ended back in the old days.
Oh, that was the wooden extension.
The wooden extension, yeah. So
We didn't jump off the end of the pier.
We jumped off. We jumped off the sides.
Yeah, well, on the sides, it was reputed that you could see pilings of the old iron pier, which was blew down in 1913.
I don't remember
it was at the same location.
Well, I don't remember seeing it, but it did go out farther.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's my story, and
That's a good one.
in retirement, well, Connie and I are doing a lot of traveling. We've been back. She's from Ohio, so we've been
You're
back to
also
Ohio.
escorting a casket every so often up the aisle at American
Well, I'm
Martyrs.
involved at American Martyrs. I'm an adult altar server for funerals, and Jenny Kelly,
She just
long
passed
time resident, she just passed. I'm doing her funeral next Thursday. So anyway, that's my story, and it's fun to be part of this group, hearing all the old stories.
Mike, I wanted to ask a little bit more about the lots. You said your dad bought so many lots, and
That was my dad's uncle, my great uncle.
Oh.
His name was Matt Leahy, and he was a builder. And then his son Mike was a builder here at the beach. Built a lot of apartments, and held on to some and sold some, a lot of houses. But all those lots, you know, for $50, $75, I mean, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And have the foresight to
Yeah.
buy that and then hold on to it. So-
Right.
So my
Is-
cousin, he did very well.
So is your cousin still in town?
No, he died in January of '10, and I was the executor of his will, and he had millions of dollars, and so as executor, I was able to pass, according to his will, pass money out. You know, writing a check for a couple $1,000,000 and giving it to somebody, that's pretty special. And I did a lot of that.
And so any of the lots that his family still owned at that time had to be liquidated?
The one on 500 block Sepulveda, there's like 15 suites there. That was the last property. Well, he had a lot of property here, and so he gave his handyman the apartment building right up here on 1401 Manhattan Beach Boulevard.
Oh,
His secretary, he gave her $1.5 million. It was all part of his will, how it was gonna turn out. He had a big 10-unit in Hermosa that we sold, and then the property on Sepulveda we sold. Then he had a 160-acre ranch up in Paso Robles. So he was a very wealthy man, so he gave a lot of money away.
interesting.
A lot of money, and I was pleased, you know, people, and it's fabulous, you know, just doing good.
The Harkness you mentioned,
Hartnett, yeah, I'm part of the Hartnett family.
Harkness.
Hartnett, from Ireland.
Not
Abby,
Harkness.
no.
Also,
The Hartnett family, from Ireland. Abbeyvale in Ireland. And I've been to Abbeyvale, it's a small town.
but my husband's uncle bought the lot where the Torrance urgency care is,
Yeah,
way back.
yeah,
And he sold it for peanuts.
yeah, well,
Because he
you
was
know,
moving to Vista, but
I mean, the
He should
prices
have.
now are just amazing.
I think he paid